My beloved brothers and sisters, sometimes, in life, you will be misunderstood. You'll be judged by people who only know your name, not your story. You'll be accused by hearts that never sat with your truth. You'll be spoken about in rooms you've never entered, and the instinct, the very human instinct, is to fight back, to explain, to prove. But what if I told you, your silence might be the loudest response of all? Because when Allah defends you, you don't need to say a word. You see, there's a kind of peace that only comes when you know that the one who created the hearts of those who doubt you is the same one who knows exactly who you are. He saw the tear you cried when no one else did. He heard your silent prayer when your voice trembled. He counted the times you stayed quiet, not because you couldn't speak, but because you knew He was listening. That's not weakness, that's strength, because strength isn't shouting your truth at those who don't want to hear it. Strength is knowing when your silence speaks louder than their noise. Strength is saying to yourself, I don't need to prove what Allah already knows. There will be moments when you're walking through life, carrying wounds no one can see, dodging words sharper than knives, and the world might ask you, why aren't you fighting back? But you've already answered with your faith. Because the greatest battles aren't always fought with words. Sometimes the greatest victories are silent. Think of Yusuf, wrongfully accused, thrown into prison, his name dragged through the mud. But he didn't scream, he didn't curse the ones who betrayed him. He waited, he turned to Allah, and Allah cleared his name in the most powerful, public, and undeniable way. And that's what He does. Allah doesn't just defend you, He elevates you in front of those who tried to bring you down. He writes your vindication in a language the heart can feel but the tongue can't explain. So today, if you're walking through fire and you feel like the world is watching you burn, remember, the fire didn't burn Ibrahim because Allah told it not to. Your fire won't consume you either. Let them talk, let them whisper, let them assume, because Allah will write a truth so undeniable, it will silence every lie without you lifting a single finger. Your only job. Stay sincere, stay still, stay silent when Allah defends you. You don't need to defend yourself. He's already doing it better than you ever could. Allah is the best defender, not just in theory, not just in scripture, but in the deepest, most personal experiences of our lives. There are moments when you feel wronged, falsely accused, or betrayed by the very people you trusted. You want to explain, to cry out, to prove your innocence. But in that moment of pain, if you turn to Allah instead of the people, you will witness something extraordinary. Divine justice wrapped in perfect timing. People might see only a fragment of the story. They might judge you based on whispers, half-truths, or their own insecurities. But Allah, He sees what they cannot. He sees your intentions, your sincerity, your struggles behind closed doors. He sees the nights you couldn't sleep, the prayers you whispered through tears, and the strength it took to hold yourself back when you could have spoken up. When Allah defends you, He does it in ways that are so precise, so powerful, and so complete that no human effort could ever match it. He might expose a truth at just the right moment, bring clarity to someone's heart unexpectedly, or simply let time unfold in your favor until everything becomes undeniable. You may not always see the defense happening in the moment, but when you look back, you'll realize what you thought was a delay was actually divine protection in motion. Allah's defense is not loud, but it is unshakable. It's not always immediate, but it is always perfect. Sometimes it looks like doors opening where you thought you had no chance. Other times it's peace in your heart when chaos surrounds you. And often, it's the quiet reversal of harm when the very people who tried to bring you down end up witnessing your rise. So when you feel like the world is against you, remember, the one who created the world is for you. You don't have to chase justice when you trust the one who defines it. He is Al. Hack the truth, and He never abandons the one who calls on Him with sincerity. Let that be your peace. Let that be your proof. Silence is one of the most misunderstood forms of strength. In a world that constantly pressures us to react, to speak out, to defend ourselves at every turn, choosing silence can feel unnatural, even weak. But in reality, it takes immense courage, discipline, and spiritual maturity to stay quiet when your ego is screaming for validation. It's easy to react when emotions are high, when you're hurt, when your name is being dragged through the mud. But silence in those very moments becomes an act of deep trust, not in people, but in Allah. When you remain silent while being wronged, it's not because you don't have a response. It's not because you're incapable of defending yourself. It's because you know that real power isn't always loud. Real strength isn't always shown in arguments or clapbacks. Sometimes the greatest show of strength is restraint, choosing not to step down to the level of those trying to pull you into conflict. The Prophet Muhammad taught this through his actions. He faced slander, insults, and even physical harm, but he didn't respond to every attack. He responded with silence, with patience, with calm, because he knew that Allah sees everything, and that what is said in anger fades, but what is said in truth lasts forever. He showed us that silence in the face of injustice isn't surrender, it's trust. Trust that Allah will bring clarity when the time is right, that the truth doesn't need to be shouted to be known. Silence protects your dignity. It shields your heart from being poisoned by rage or bitterness. It allows you to keep your focus on what matters most, your relationship with Allah, your peace, your purpose. Because at the end of the day, people may forget what was said, but they will always remember how you carried yourself when things got hard. Staying silent doesn't mean you're powerless. It means your power is rooted in something deeper, in patience, in tawakkul, in the unshakable belief that you don't need to lower yourself to rise. You already have a defender greater than any voice, and when he speaks on your behalf, there is no refutation. Your reputation is not in the hands of the people who misunderstand you, misjudge you, or misrepresent you. It's not controlled by gossip, by social media, or by the opinions of those who only see fragments of your life. Your reputation, your true worth, your honor, your name is in the hands of Allah, and when something is in His hands, it is safe. It is protected. It is nurtured with justice, wisdom, and mercy. There will be times when your image in front of others feels tainted. You may be accused of things you didn't do or labeled in ways that don't reflect who you are. It's painful because we all long to be understood. We all want to be seen for our truth. But the deeper truth is this: the one who sees everything already knows who you are, and that is enough. When Allah loves you, no rumor can ruin you. When He honors you, no insult can harm you. When He raises your name, no one can bring it down, no matter how much they try. People can speak, but they cannot rewrite what Allah has written for you. He is the one who gives Izzah honor, and He is the one who takes it. If your heart is clean and your intention sincere, He will guard your name even when you cannot. Sometimes the best response is not to defend yourself, but to continue doing good. Continue being consistent. Continue serving, praying, building, and growing, and let Allah take care of how people see you. Because in time, He turns hearts. In time, He reveals truth. And in time, even your silence will speak louder than their noise. There are people today walking with dignity because they chose to hand their reputation over to Allah instead of chasing validation from people. And there are those who harmed others with words, only to watch Allah elevate the very person they tried to destroy. So trust the process, trust the judge, trust the one who sees what's hidden, and who never lets the sincere fall without lifting them higher in return. You don't need to polish your image for every crowd. You only need to be right with Allah, because He is the one who makes hearts love you, trust you, and respect you even when they once doubted you. Let your reputation be something you surrender to Him, and watch how He protects it better than you ever could. There's a deep human desire to be understood, to be believed, to clear your name when it's been dragged through the mud. And often, the first instinct is to gather proof, to explain, to show every detail just to make others see the truth. But the reality is, proof doesn't always change hearts, because not every heart is looking for the truth. Some are too clouded by ego, jealousy, pride, or pain to see clearly, even when the truth is right in front of them. You could lay out every fact, you could speak with clarity, patience, and kindness, and still, There will be people who choose not to believe you, not because you failed to convince them, but because they were never truly open to being convinced. Their minds were made up before you ever opened your mouth, and no amount of evidence can penetrate a heart that doesn't want to be moved. This is why in Islam we're reminded to focus on being sincere, not just on being seen as right. Because the one who truly matters, Allah, already knows the full story. He doesn't need you to explain yourself. He doesn't wait for proof. He sees what's hidden, what's spoken in silence, what's written in your heart. And when you choose to walk away from defending yourself endlessly, you're not giving up, you're rising above. Even the prophets, who were the most truthful, were not believed by everyone. They brought miracles as proof, clear signs from Allah, and still many rejected them. Not because the proof wasn't enough, but because arrogance blocked their hearts from accepting it. That same reality still exists today. So don't take it personally when people refuse to see your side, when your truth gets ignored. Know that your worth is not determined by who believes you, but by the one who created you. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stop trying to convince those who refuse to understand, and start investing that energy into your own peace, your own growth, your connection with Allah. Because when Allah opens a heart, it needs no proof, and when He closes it, no proof is ever enough. Your job is not to force belief, it's to live with integrity. In time, Allah makes the truth shine on its own. You don't have to chase it, you just have to walk in it. The most beloved of Allah, the prophets, were not spared from being misjudged. They were insulted, rejected, mocked, and falsely accused. People twisted their words, questioned their intentions, and spread lies about them. And yet, they were the most truthful, the most sincere, the most pure-hearted individuals to ever walk the earth. If they, with all their closeness to Allah, were misjudged by their own people, what makes us think we will always be understood? Take Prophet Noor, he preached for centuries, tirelessly inviting his people to truth. But they called him crazy. They mocked him for building a ship on dry land. Even with his devotion and patience, many still refused to listen. Or think of Musa, he stood up to Pharaoh, performed miracles by Allah's will, yet was constantly challenged, accused, and doubted by his own people. And then there's Isa, slandered and denied by many despite his clear signs. Even the final messenger, Prophet Muhammad, was accused of being a poet, a liar, a sorcerer by people who knew his character better than anyone. These weren't minor misunderstandings. These were painful, public misjudgments. And yet their response wasn't to attack or retaliate. It was to turn to Allah, to stay firm in their mission, and to remain patient. They understood that being misjudged by people didn't lessen their value in the sight of Allah. In fact, it often increased it. Their stories are not just history, they are reminders. Reminders that even when you're doing everything right, people may still see you wrong. That being judged unfairly is not a sign of failure, but a test of faith. That your worth isn't based on what people say, but on how you respond. When you're misjudged, don't let it shake your truth. Don't let it distract you from your purpose. Remember that those who walked the path of righteousness before you endured far worse, and they kept walking. So let their strength become yours. Let their silence teach you dignity. Let their faith remind you that Allah sees everything. Being misjudged hurts, but it doesn't define you. What defines you is the way you carry yourself through it with grace, with patience, and with the quiet confidence that Allah knows the reality, and that is more than enough. There are times when responding to an insult, a false accusation, or a personal attack feels necessary, as if staying silent somehow means you're weak or guilty. But the truth is, not every battle is worth fighting. Sometimes, responding doesn't raise your status, it lowers your dignity. It drags you into the same space as the one trying to bring you down, and in doing so, it distracts you from who you are and what truly matters. When someone speaks from a place of ignorance or bitterness, their words often say more about them than they do about you. Meeting them at that level, explaining yourself to someone who has already decided not to understand you, or arguing just to be heard, it may feel satisfying in the moment, but it rarely brings peace. It often leaves you feeling more drained, more frustrated, and less in control. There's wisdom in silence. There's strength in choosing not to engage. Responding emotionally can sometimes distort your truth, because in the heat of trying to defend yourself, you may say or do things that don't reflect your values, and then the focus shifts not on what was done to you, but how you reacted. You become the story instead of the truth you are trying to stand for. Dignity is often preserved by restraint. When you rise above the noise and hold yourself with grace, you don't shrink, you elevate. You show that your self-worth isn't dependent on public approval or validation. You show that your peace is not up for negotiation. And most importantly, you show that you trust Allah more than your need to be right in the eyes of people. There's a beautiful kind of power in walking away not because you couldn't respond, but because you knew it wasn't worth it. And when you do that, Allah sees it. He rewards the one who chooses character over ego, who holds back even when they have the perfect words, who lets go even when they could win the argument. You're not lesser for staying quiet. In fact, you might be protecting something greater: your reputation, your peace, your closeness to Allah. Sometimes the loudest statement you can make is the one you don't say, and sometimes that silence is exactly what keeps you elevated. When people falsely accuse you, when they twist your words or assign intentions you never had, it can feel like the world is collapsing around you. The sting of being misunderstood or slandered cuts deep, especially when you've done nothing to deserve it. But what feels like a painful injustice in the moment can actually be the beginning of something greater, because Allah, in His infinite wisdom, often takes the very things meant to break you and turns them into reasons to raise you. False accusations hurt. They make you question yourself, your place, your worth. But when you choose patience over revenge, silence over retaliation, and faith over fear, you open the door for Allah to act on your behalf. And when He defends, He doesn't just clear your name, He elevates it. What was meant to humiliate you becomes the reason people respect you. What was meant to isolate you becomes the reason Allah brings you closer to Him. What was meant to ruin your reputation becomes the very thing that builds it. This isn't just theory, it's a pattern found throughout the stories of the righteous. Prophet Yusuf was accused of something he didn't do and thrown into prison. But it was that very prison that became the path to the palace. The slander against Aisha was so painful, yet Allah Himself revealed verses from the Qur'an to declare her innocence, and those verses will be recited until the end of time. What could have destroyed